Okinawa is also popular for Japanese domestic people, but also it's getting popular for foreigners because it offers something completely different from other rest of part of Japan. The beaches are beautiful and the clean blue waters and white sand, and the islands have the laid back island vibe that feels like a tropical escape.
Welcome back to the 10 Adventures podcast. Today we're talking with Yuki Tanimura, owner of an adventure travel company in the island of Okinawa, here to share why Okinawa should be on your bucket list. Hi, Yuki-san. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard-san. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about Okinawa today. And maybe to start, Japan as a whole is so popular right now. Why do you hear from travelers about the reasons they're drawn to go to Japan and explore?
The travelers coming to Japan are really, drawn to Japan for so many reasons. First of all, the culture. The culture of Japan is incredibly rich and fascinating. From centuries old traditions like tea ceremonies and the temples to modern pop culture and fashion, people really, rave about the food, sushi, ramen noodles, and the street snacks. It's all fresh and diverse and delicious. So Japan itself are also very safe and incredibly clean, which makes travelers around the country stress-free. So everything works well. The trains are punctual. Infrastructure is world class, and the hospitality is amazing. It just make for smooth and unforgettable travel experiences. These are the reason why, a lot of travelers, especially from foreign countries, come to Japan.
I think one thing that's interesting is when I talk to people who go to their first trip to Japan, almost everyone does the exact same trip going
Hmm.
to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto.
Yeah.
However, when people have been to Japan a few times, they always rave about the smaller, less visited places they've been to. And I was wondering if you can maybe share um, the differences between the different parts of Japan. As
Hmm.
Westerners, we think of Japan as one big country, but as
Hmm.
someone that lives there, how do you look at the different islands and parts of Japan?
For the first travelers who come to Japan for the first time, they often to go to travel the main city like Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. These are also fantastic, and we call it Golden Route. But beyond the Golden Route, there are some other you know great aspects of Japan. So, for example, like the places like Tohoku, Hokkaido, even like Okinawa, where I was born, and these are the all like the nature and also culture and even language could be different from mainland Japan. So these aspects of really like local um prefectures within Japan are quite unique and different from mainland Japan, which makes definitely foreigners more fascinating to Japan. And at the same time, you can learn so many like histories and maybe like nature and the culture because whole places that you go, especially like rural side, is totally different aspect and totally different background and history. So those kind of things are really, great part of those areas. So I highly recommend. Of course, you go to Tokyo and the other city areas, but also some other part of Japan.
Let's talk a little bit about Okinawa, where you were born and where you live now. Can you share what makes Okinawa such a popular and special destination?
Okinawa is also popular for Japanese domestic people, but also it's getting popular for foreigners because it offers something completely different from other rest of part of Japan. The beaches are beautiful and the clean blue waters and white sand, and the islands have the laid back island vibe that feels like a tropical escape. I have been to resort places in other countries, such as like Phuket in Thailand and Cebu in Philippines. And but the thing is, whenever I go to those kind of resort islands in different countries, I I strongly believe that Okinawa is the number one for the, transparency of oceans. And beaches are so clean and everything is really, fascinating and spectacular. So in terms of the culture, Okinawa is used to be a independent kingdom, influenced by the Ryukyu kingdom and other Asian cultures. So the food itself is totally different from mainland Japan, and also the culture itself is also, and even like language is different from mainland Japan. That's why I think those kind of things are the reason why a lot of travelers come to Okinawa.
I didn't realize all this. And that's super interesting that it was a separate kingdom and the food's quite different. How is the food? What are some of the local specialties in Okinawa that you wouldn't find in other parts of Japan?
Like for example, if you go to Tokyo and Osaka, every place you go, you can find maybe like ramen noodles and tonkatsu and sort of like Japanese like common food. But in Okinawa, you can see like Okinawa soba, which you can only have it in Okinawa, and also some other ingredients that local peoples, especially like living in Tokyo area or city side, they don't know, but we use it, and these kind of like things are really important and have a really great recipe of the food that we eat in every day in Okinawa, and especially like as you may know that Okinawa is one of the blue zone, and longevity and the life expectancy of people there is much longer than some other prefectures in Japan. So I think not only like the place, but also like the food itself is different and healthier compared to others. That's why I think people living in Okinawa live longer and have more like, you know, relaxed and peaceful culture there. So that makes really, differentiated from the other part of Japan.
You mentioned the blue zones, and can you maybe explain a little bit of the background on what these blue zones are?
Yeah. So blue zones are the places that people live long because of the food, because of the culture, and because of the lifestyle. And Okinawa is one of the part of it. And the reason behind and the reason why Okinawa is one of the blue zone is longevity comes from lifestyle factors, planet-based diet with lots of local vegetables, strong community bonds, regular cycle activity, and deep sense of purpose, known local as we call ikigai. And the people in Okinawa remain active well into their 80s and 90s, and the visitors are really inspired by the way of life. So as a result, the life expectancy of Okinawa is much longer and longest actually among whole regions in Japan.
You mentioned ikigai, and I've heard that term a few times. I've seen books recently that, I think it was like find your ikigai. What is ikigai for people that don't recognize the term?
Ikigai, it's really hard to explain, but ikigai basically means purpose for living. So, for example, if I have ikigai, for example, if I want to do something really I feel like exciting and or I feel like really like want to do something, then that makes people more energetic. So like we in Okinawa we call it ikigai, and then this um kind of like the theory is pretty like important for um, the people living longer, because if we don't have any purpose to living or like motivation to live, and even like that definitely makes people less less active. So we call it ikigai. We have something really like want to do and want to like eager to do or something, so we emphasize this. And then this factor is actually has a lot of um, reason why people can get, live longer.
I want to talk a little bit about kind of the adventurous aspect of Okinawa, all the things a person can do. But
Mhm.
before we go there, I want to know kind of what are some of the regular tourist sights to see? Are there aspects of Okinawa where just a regular tourist, will have to go see?
Mhm.
Maybe it's a certain temple or
Mhm.
parts of a town. Um, what do you hear from tourists that they just love seeing on Okinawa?
Yeah, I think one of the major sightseeing spot in Okinawa is, I think, Churame Aquarium, which is actually biggest aquarium within Japan. And a lot of visitors, even like domestic Japanese travelers, come to visit. And I would say also Shuri Castle. It's actually was burned out because of the fire, I think, uh, like about like 10 years ago. And but the thing is, we now the castle itself has been rebuilt, and still you can see a lot of history there. And as I said, Okinawa was I mean was a kingdom and influenced by Chinese culture. That reflects a lot of Chinese culture in the castle, because the color of the castle is red, which represents China, and also a lot of artifacts, kind of like decoration alongside of the castle, that you can I think you cannot find anything like Shuri Castle, because it's totally unique. So I strongly recommend you to go there.
And I want to move on now to the outdoor activities. Can
Mhm.
you maybe share some of the highlights for people who like to spend time outside that
Mhm.
they can do on Okinawa?
Snorkeling and diving are very popular, and also like the coral reefs are beautiful and full of main marine life. So you can also go kayaking through the mangroves, hiking in the forest, or enjoy beachside yoga. These kind of the activities that people usually do.
Can you talk a little bit about the water temperature? And you compared Okinawa to some, huge tourism destinations. Is this a place where you can snorkel and swim in the ocean year round, or are there certain times where the water is going to get cold?
Diving is totally fine for the whole year, but snorkeling and maybe some other part of marine activities you can do up to end of November. Only December, and from December to around the end of March, you cannot do snorkeling, all the things. But mostly you can do through a year.
Now, I want to talk about one of the trips of yours in Okinawa, and it's I'm always fascinated by trips that circumnavigate a place that you see kind of all the perimeter. And you have a 1 week bike tour that circumnavigates Okinawa. Can you talk a little bit about what makes this tour so popular and some of the sights a person will see while doing it?
I would say like the 1 week tour around Okinawa is amazing. It because lets you really experiencing the diversity of the island, and you cycle through coastal routes with ocean views, pass through local villages, and stop at scenic spots that most tourists don't get to see. You also get a taste of the regional cuisine along the way. The tour is well supported with luggage transfer and great guides, and so it's accessible if you are not hardcore cyclist. It's the perfect balance of adventure and comfort.
And then what's it like cycling in Okinawa? I've cycled a little bit in other parts of Japan.
Mhm.
Um, and the roads, we could find really kind of traffic free roads. Is that possible in Okinawa as an island that you can go on quiet roads where you're not going to have cars whizzing by every 2 seconds?
Yeah, actually, like there are some traffic, but not a lot of traffic like other cities like Tokyo and Osaka, those kind of cities. Cycling in Okinawa is just surprisingly easy and enjoyable. Many of the routes are along quiet coastal roads with little traffic. The roads are well maintained, and drivers are generally very respectful of cyclists. Plus, the views are stunning. You're riding along turquoise coastlines through the fields, and also like you can see the sugarcane fields in the also like traditional houses alongside of the cycling roads, and it's only one of the best ways to see the island at your own pace.
In terms of, when I've cycled along the coast in other parts of Japan, I was just amazed by the beaches. And
Mhm,
it would be kind of like every hill, you just look at this beach, which in North America or Europe, they'd make postcards about it. And there's almost nobody on the beaches because there's so many incredible beaches. Is it like
mhm,
that in Okinawa that, as you ride, you'll pass these beautiful beaches and
mhm.
if you want, you can park the bike and go for a swim at lunch or,
Yep.
is it like that?
Yeah, it's totally like that. Because as you may know that, of course, like Okinawa is, really popular for tourists. But the thing is, compared to other destinations like Osaka and Tokyo, there are less tourists. That's why I think people are less, even like on the beach. You can also relax on the beach and maybe like, even like during the cycling, you can stop by some of the peaceful beaches and then lie down a little bit and then take a rest and then go back to do cycling again. These kind of things are really common, and yeah, Okinawa is totally like just relax and not a lot of traffic and a lot of people.
Are there also options for e-biking? I know
Hmm.
e-bikes are starting to become more
Hmm.
conventional in other
Hmm.
parts of the world, but is that also possible in Okinawa?
Yes. We can offer some e-bike tours. Also, we can have some options of like cross bike and road bike. It depends on your customers, preferences. But the thing is, we, both provide the um, the bicycles, and you can choose your options. And e-bikes are much easier. And although Okinawa is quite not like up and down sort of roads, rather more likely flat roads, so that it's really easy without e-bike. But if you are not really familiar with the cycling, then you can definitely take a e-bike, and it's much less power you need to ride the bicycle, and of course you can enjoy the all the scenery of the Okinawa. So it's, I think, for the especially like for the beginners and for the people for the those people who have cycling for the first time, then definitely I would recommend e-bike tour will be the one of the best options.
In other parts of Japan, one thing I've been surprised is, most parts of the world, English is quite well spoken. In
Hmm.
Japan, when you get away from even in the major cities, English isn't
Hmm.
very well spoken. And I
Hmm.
found that guides often, provide a bridge between, you know, me as a tourist and local culture and people.
Hmm.
In
Hmm.
Okinawa, is that still a case where there's English isn't widely spoken? Or will people find that they can converse with locals? There's lots of people who
Yeah.
speak English.
So it depends on where you're gonna go, but especially like the main city, called Naha City. Uh, Naha City has a lot of population and a lot of well uh, English speaking guides there. So you will not have any issues with language barriers. But if you go really local, like no, really like upper north of Okinawa and some other really local side of Okinawa, people are less. I mean, there are less people who can speak English. But as you may know, that Okinawa has American military base, so that people are really familiar with the foreigners and the English speaking people, so that you will not have a lot of difficulties to find some people who don't speak English. But sometimes if you don't find any English speakers, but obviously, Okinawa people are really warm and welcome, and their hospitality is amazing. That's why I think even though communication is hard, but people are really nice. So don't worry, and you can just go ask them some questions.
Yeah, I think that's one thing Japan is famous for. Just random people are so kind and helpful, and it really is a welcoming culture and
Hmm.
society. I want to get to the last part, which is just around
Hmm.
logistical issues. People
Yeah.
are always worried, oh, how am I going to get around? How do I get there? Um, how hard is it to get to Okinawa if someone is just wants to add, 4 or 5 days
Hmm.
onto a trip where they're going to be in Osaka or
Yeah.
or Tokyo?
If you want to come to Okinawa, you need to have flights. But the thing is, it's not that long flights. Rather, it takes only 2.5 hours, especially like from Tokyo to Okinawa, only 2.5 hours. And if you want to come from Osaka, maybe 2 hours, or maybe could be less. And also, there are some international airports which connect to Okinawa, such as Taiwan and Korea and um, China and some other Asian countries. They have direct flights from those countries to Okinawa. So if you come to stop by somewhere East Asian countries, then definitely Okinawa is the connectable. And also, like people who come to Japan, the ideal route or itinerary could be, going to the Golden Route, arriving in Tokyo and then going to west part of Japan, like Osaka and Kyoto. And after that, to go to Okinawa. So you can see almost all part of Japan from the east to west and then south. So probably you can have, really like great extension of the Japan's as a really long trip. And also you can see a lot of diversities alongside of the tour. So people who come to Japan like for 10 days or something, then probably those kind of routes are recommended. But if you come to Okinawa for Okinawa only, then of course you can also enjoy to stay there for maybe like more than 5 days. Because as I said, beach and beautiful ocean, you can just, relax there and spend time with your family and bring your friends and then to have some fantastic time there. Maybe like 5 days or could be like 1 week will be the good days for staying. Yeah. Anyway, so Okinawa is not, that difficult to come from even major city like Tokyo.
And then other parts of Japan in the summer, they get very, very hot. Is
Hmm.
Okinawa the same that if you want a beach vacation, summer's great, but if you want to go and explore or go cycling, maybe summer is not the best time to go, or when do you recommend people come to Okinawa?
I would recommend April and could be like October, because yeah, as Richardson said, yeah, the even summertime in Okinawa is really hot, and of course, like if people feel like hot season, then it's I think still okay. But I think even like for me, it's totally hard to stay in the hot days in the summer. So probably I would recommend April and October.
Yuki-san, thank you for coming on the show and sharing all your knowledge of Okinawa. It really just sounds like an incredible, unique part of Japan that for people who have, seen all the major sites, it seems like just a great place to go and enjoy some beach time, some culture, great Japanese food, great Okinawan food. And
Mhm.
I just want to say thanks for coming on the show and sharing all your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
For everyone who's listening, I'll put some links into some of the places Yuki-san mentioned in the show notes. And with that, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the 10 Adventures podcast. We'll be back next week to explore the world and hear about more epic adventures. Bye-bye. Start planning your own adventure by visiting us at 10adventures.com and listen to other episodes of the 10 Adventures podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you find your podcasts.